Hi, and welcome to my detailed scrap room tour videos. If you're interested in an overall brief quick tour of my room, the video right before this should be the overall video, and this one and the next couple will be a much more detailed walkthrough of exactly how I have my room set up and what is in all of these drawers and cupboards. So let's start here on this wall, which includes this, which is sort of like the backdrop for my video Zoom calls and whatnot. And then this calyx unit, which is a 2x4 unit, like 2x4 cube unit. And then we have 3 Razcogs, and then we've got some tall things stored over there. On top of the calyx unit, I have some plants. This one is real. It's actually poisonous to cats, so I have to be careful. My cats never come up on this one, so that's okay. This one is also not great for cats, but they never bothered with this one. It's actually like, I was looking at an old video where it had nothing hanging from it, and look at how big it is now. Look at it, it's massive. And I was wondering if I'd be able to keep it alive in that video. So this one is fake, and that one is real, and that one is fake. So I do like to have some real plants in my room. I find that they keep the air clean, supposedly, but it just feels good having real nature among in the place that you're spending a lot of time. So up here, in addition to the plants, I have, that is a vintage pull-up doll, one of the very first models. She's still in her original box, and she's gonna stay that way. And so I put her there because she's never gonna get sunlight on her there because she's between the 2 windows. So that's a good place to keep it. I have one of my favorite mini albums out here on display. I just like it, so that's why I kept it out. Then I have this unit, which is one of those half depth units from Recollections. And this one is made to look like an apothecary chest, but it's actually like just 3 drawers. And so I'm gonna hold up my phone so that you can see inside of these drawers, but you can see glitter tape, and frames. And I just pull this drawer right out when I want to use it, so I would bring it over to the desk to use. This is my Enamel Dots, which I'll show you how I have them stored. So I have a video that shows how I do this on my channel, but basically I have gone through and organized all of my enamel dots by color and put them on these little cards. And that way I can find what I need when I need it. And so far, that has been working really well for me. I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and I really like having them like this. So the top drawer here, it says journaling cards and tags and pockets. And I will have to take that one out so that you can see what's in it as well. Now, this one, I recently took a lot of the tags out because I found that I just wasn't using them very much. So I thought that maybe if I move them to another place, which you will see if you watch all of these videos. So really, this is just pockets and envelopes is all that is in this one now. So in these top 2 cubbies, I have 4 nail polish organizers. So you can see that there's actually one behind. And I just use a Simon Says Stamp card kit box to elevate the back one. That fits perfectly inside of the calyx unit and just stacks them nicely so that I can see everything that's there. I keep all of my mixed media supplies in these, most of my mixed media supplies in these nail polish storage units. And I do have a video where I talk about how I'm using them. And so you can check out that video on my channel if you haven't seen it yet. And then in here, I keep all of my mists, and they are organized by color this way. So yellow goes all the way back there, pinks and reds go there, blues and purples or dark blues are there. And then in the very back are the neutrals like grays and blacks and golds and silvers and all of those. Down here, we have a basket that just holds my mixed media bases. So things like gesso and texture paste and glazes and all of those sorts of things. And then in here, I have just all of my mixed media tools like brushes and scrapers and, oh, Raymond is in there. A color wheel and some sponges and bottles and that sort of thing. I do keep my iPad here and my current book. Right now, my current book is something I'm reading on my Kindle, but normally there'll be a book there. These two cupboards are just work things, so it's mostly books that I refer to and a couple of like handouts and file folders and stuff, but I'm not going to open that. In this cupboard, we have a bunch of art journals, some Stampin' Up catalogs. This is a personal like journaling project here. This is collectible cards, like cards for my collectible items. And then these are Animal Crossing Amiibo cards. And then that one is empty. I have labeled these just on the very, very edge. It's very subtle and you can't see it. That was my intention. I did not want to put labels on these cupboards. I wanted it to be very minimalist. And so you can see what is in them. So that says journals. And then down here, this one says scraps, and that's what's inside of this one. So I do keep my scraps like this. It's obviously very scrappy looking, but that's as it's supposed to look. So I keep my scraps in these two magazine holders. They're Scrap Rack brand, and you can get them on Amazon in packages of I think 5 or 4 of them at a time. I have a whole bunch of them. And what I do is I keep these big, let me zoom out. What I do is I keep these large Ziploc bags and I do cut the zippers off of them so that I can store things horizontally. That way I can kind of get a sense. Sometimes I just reach in and grab a single piece of paper. I do sort them by color. So these are oranges and yellows. These are greens. These are blues and those are purples. And if I'm doing a project where I'm going to need a lot of scraps, I'll bring out the whole bags, but oftentimes I'll just pull it out a little bit and find what I need and pull it out. So these are blacks and whites and grays. These are browns and beiges, and then these are multicolored scraps. I do love keeping my scraps. I hate throwing away beautiful paper, and I used to have a bunch of dedicated drawers for my scraps, but I just don't have the space in this room for that. So in this magazine holder, I have a combination of things because I was running out of room in another place. So I have my pinks and my red scraps, but then these are actually not scraps. These are kits that I haven't decided where to put yet. I was trying to use them up, and so that's why they got put away with my scraps. But I also have a few more kits here to use, like 12 by 12 kits. I have another place now where I keep my kits, so these can actually be moved over. And this is an Allie Edwards quarterly scrapbooking kit that I just label here. This is the rainbows one. You see the label right there. Okay, so next, let's have a look at these Razcogs. So this Razcog holds my Big Shot. It's all out here and ready to go with the platforms on it so that I can pull it over to my scrap space when I am doing my videos. In the second level of that Razcog, I have my steel rule dies. I also have like some examples. These are dies that I have, like this is the milk container, this is I think the Matchbox, or I don't know what they are, but I have them all written down. So they're basically like templates so that I know what to expect when I cut these out. I know where to put the glue and that sort of thing. I've got a couple of things like extra cutting mats and the long cutting mats. I do have a few of the longer dies as well, and I have a shim here. Yeah, so I love these alphabets. They're really wonky. What is this called? It's called the Wingo Zingo alphabets, and I love them. And I have another alphabet die too. This is why I don't use them. They're really difficult to get out. This one is like a block one, and it's called Decorative Strip Billboard. I really like this one too. I should keep these like this so that I can use them more easily, and maybe I'll remember that I have them. So then on the very bottom level of this Rascog, I have just a bunch of extra cutting supplies. Sizzix was kind enough to send me a bunch of stuff when I did a video for them a while back. They sent me a bunch of dies to review and a bunch of things. I have a magnetic platform here, which they didn't send me. I already had that. And this thing for embossing. And just a whole bunch of things. I don't even know what all this stuff is, but I have to go through and figure out what it is and how to use it. On the other side of this, I just have a bunch of tools. So I do keep my embossing folders right here. I keep this just to have some stickiness on hand. Sometimes I'll roll over die cuts to get the little hairy edges off of them. And I have a few other tools for similar types of purposes. I have a set of Stampin' Up alphabet dies, which I really love. This is a nice alphabet. It's that. Love those. And in this is a Martha Stewart desk organizer, and in that I keep just a variety of random dies that are like scrapbooking dies. They're not specific to card making, like they don't go with a specific stamp set. They're just random scrapbooking dies that I have. In behind that is where I keep my alphabet dies. So this is a stamp and alphabet die set that I have from Waffle Flower. But it's kind of hard to see them, but in this slot right here is where I keep all of my alphabet die sets. And then this one just doesn't fit there, so it's back here. This is my Alpha Rascog. I keep all of my thickers in this thickers and thicker like stickers. I keep in this Rascog right here. These are only alphas. It's not any of those phrase ones or decorative thickers, just alpha thickers in here. And I do keep the top section is all black and white letter stickers. I have cut these pieces of cardstock. It's actually chipboard, and I just use my Stampin' Up rounded tab punch to punch out a piece of paper that's mostly black here, and I use that as my divider. And then I have another one here that I just punched out a piece of white pattern paper to signify that these are all of my white thickers. I try to keep them with the labels all going the same way so that it's easy for me to find what I'm looking for, and so that they look neat and tidy, and so they don't get hung up on each other, because I do repackage my thickers into my own little plastic bags, which makes them a lot easier for me to pull them out, use them, and then I can just slip them back in super easily. I buy 6 by 12 inch bags on Amazon, and you can buy them in a massive pack, and they last you forever and ever and ever. I also stuck my thicker alignment tools. These are the rounded shaped ones. I keep the straight one by my workspace. So the second tier has all colored thickers, and so you can see it goes from pink right here. Oh, these ones didn't get repackaged, but that's okay. So it goes from pink right here to red. Oh, these ones got squished. I have orange, yellow, green, and way back here is blue. But when I do blue and green, I usually just flip it around like this. And there's brown in the very back as well. So the nice thing about having this in a Rascog is that you can turn these around to reach what you need to reach. Now in the very bottom tray of this one, I have more thickers. These ones are all gold, so everything in this category, I just took a piece of gold glitter paper to signify that. So it's anything that's gold, gold foil, gold glitter, anything gold is all right here. And then behind that we have multicolor. And so that would be any of these older, thicker sets that came in multicolors. And also I have these sassafras ones too. I just slipped them in the same 6 by 12 inch bags, even though they're shorter, obviously. And then when I flip this around, I have my little white basket here that holds my letter stickers. And I have it set up like this because if I put this basket, it does fit down there, but if I put it down there, it would be hard for me to get it out to bring, because I like to bring this to my desk. Also, when I took it out, all of these would fall backwards and it would be really difficult to put it back. So I just have this fridge bin here that sits upside down just to basically hold the space and to allow me to keep this like that. And what's in this is my letter stickers that are smaller. So these would be things like October Afternoon, Mini Market letter stickers, and any other small letter stickers. And the very smallest ones are in the front, the other side. So that one goes like that. The third Rascog here is my Punch Rascog. So as you can see, the top has mostly butterflies and hearts and other kind of shapes that I might pull from. The second tier here has all border punches and my giant heart, just because it's so big it's hard to fit anywhere else. And then these are just different brands of border punches and some Martha Stewart ones down here. So got like a corner one, and then, you know. And when I'm browsing for these, it's nice to have them all facing the same way so that I can see what I have pretty easily. And then this one just kind of keeps them all from falling over, so I like to keep that there. In the very bottom is where I keep my mostly circles and ovals, but there's also like square and a few other kind of specialty ones around here. So the last thing that would be considered, I guess, sort of on this wall would be this corner here, which is where I keep my palettes and sheets of foam board. So I have 3 of these Tri-Art palettes. They're like acrylic, really large pieces of acrylic that are kind of like a glossy finish, and they're really great for doing mixed media on. And so I have 3 of them. There was a time when I did a lot of mixed media projects, and it was good to have that many. There are the other 2 right there. I also keep like pieces of foam board, and I have some foam board taped together that I use as a misting catcher. I have a light board for when I do diamond paintings, and then I have, this is my daughter's diamond painting, and this is my ginormous diamond painting right there. You just hang them there because that's the best place for them to not get wrinkly and damaged. We don't typically do a lot of diamond painting in the summer months. It's more of a winter activity. Out this window is the newest addition to my scrap room, which is we put furniture outside. Do you want to see it? Let me go show you. Kitty cat. So I added some furniture right outside, and I'm considering this part of my scrap room because I'm the only one who uses this space, and it is right beside my room. And there's a table and some chairs here. I can bring my laptop or my iPad out here. I can bring some stamped images and do some coloring. There's all sorts of things I can do out here in the summer months. I'm really looking forward to using this space as a bit of extra space. Okay, so let's talk about what's on this wall now. So up above, this hasn't changed too much since the last time I did a video. I have some decorative things up here. I have some rolled papers. So I have some rolled decorative papers up there, and I have a couple of souvenirs and keepsakes and collectibles. I have my We Are Memory Keepers typecast typewriter, which I have because I don't love this typewriter, but it's kind of difficult to use and it's not that great quality, but it does type on 12 by 12 paper, which is something that I do want to do sometimes. And so I have it for that reason. That's why I bought it, but I really do prefer my old-fashioned typewriter that is down there in that it's yellow with a black case. That's what I prefer to type on. I have a basket here that holds all of my, well, a bunch of my mini albums. I don't think they're all there, but a bunch of them are in there. And then more collectibles right here. What I would like to do is to have a lamp right there because when I'm in here in the evenings, I feel like this part of the room is kind of dim. When I'm not filming and I don't have my video lights on, I think that it would be nice to have a lamp there just for the mood. I guess I'll just go through cube by cube to show you what is in my Calyx unit. So starting over here, we have these 6 by 12 inch baskets. These came in different Recollections or Jetmax branded cubes. I don't have the model of cube that these came with, but there was one that had a cupboard and then 4 narrow little shelves, and these, each one of them came with 4 of these to go in the narrow little shelves. So I took those Jetmax apart a long time ago, but I did keep these because they're really, really handy to have. I love them. So these I can pull out and bring to my desk if I want to. That's an important part of the way that I work, is I like to mostly be sitting for my crafting, and so I'll come over here, grab this whole thing and browse it. So this is my card making stuff, both of these are, and let me go through the stamps first. So I have mostly Lawn Fawn card making stamps, as you can see, and I have them arranged by category. So this is food and household stamps. Then we have a whole bunch here that are land critters, and for some of them I have, that one I don't, but for that one I don't either. If I have the dies, they're on the back of it. So for this one I have the dies, and I use my brother's Scan and Cut for cutting these out now, so I don't buy any more dies, but some of them I have from before I had my Scan and Cut. Then we have sea critters, so I have a bunch that are just specific to that. Then we have holiday stamps. And then we have miscellaneous stamps, and this includes some Stampin' Up stamps that I took out of their DVD cases and I just put them in the same stamp folders that I use. These are like the Avery L ones, but I use the No Name brand, and I'll show you those when I get to the drawer where I keep them. Then in this one is mostly dies, but some are stamps. So I have these sentiment dies. I bought a whole bunch of them because I just got in this mood where I really wanted to use those a lot. So I have a bunch that I already had, and then I just bought some new ones. Then I have some of these under sentiment stamps. I also stuck these, I have a couple of sets of these, which are like I forget what these are called, but they're made by Simon Says Stamp, and they're basically pre-printed, like you don't have to stamp your sentiment. You can just cut these out, and they're really nice for, like, I find that I am too perfectionistic with my stamping, especially for sentiments, and I end up stamping a sentiment many, many times before I get it the way that I want it. So I like the idea of just being able to make it quickly. So then I also have some sentiment stamps here. Then I have sentiment frames. So these would be anything that you can frame a sentiment with. Some of these I also have the dies for. Some of these are dies. Then back here we have scene building, which is basically anything that sets a scene, like fences and grass and hills and ponds and all of that sort of thing. Then we have background, so this would be anything that is a background. And then we have basic shape. Basic shapes is my next category. And so I have these pinked circles, which I love. I just bought them. And I also have some nested circles here, nested rectangles, and I think I have nested squares too. Yeah, I have nested squares as well. And a whole bunch of others. And then these are card accessories. So those would be anything that has like an interactive element. So next is my Stampin' Up Stamps. So these are ones that are still in their DVD cases, and a few extra stamps back there. I have just like pre-stamped sentiments here in a little case. Then over here is where I keep my mostly art journaling stamps, but also some of these smaller scrapbooking stamps that I never use. These small ones, I don't like them. I just never think of looking at them, so they're sort of like, what's the point of having them if you're not going to look through them? Anyhow, I have a whole bunch of art journaling type of stamps. Like, you could use these for scrapbooking too, obviously, but I tend to use these for art journaling, so that's what I have here. I have some Dina Wakley way in the back there. And then over here, I have some pre-cut card bases. So these are card mats. So these would be pieces of paper that are cut to fit inside of a card, so they're a little bit smaller than a card front. And then I have cardstock that's cut to be card fronts, Stampin' Up cardstock. I have vellum, I have watercolor paper, I have distressed watercolor paper, I have Strathmore mixed media, Bristol Smooth, Copic Friendly, and Neenah 80-pound Solar White. Then behind there is just my overflow of 6x6 paper pads. I have a lot of 6x6 paper pads, as you can see, and I keep them in these little baggies. These are sandwich baggies, and I cut the Ziploc off the top of them, and that way if I have, this one wasn't used, but if I have any scraps, they go in there and then they don't fall out the edges like they typically do, or they did before I used to store them that way. This cupboard right here is a bit of a catch-all for now. It has my blending brushes and my giant roller date stamps, and then some oversized stamp sets that I don't know where to put because they're bigger than all of my other stamp sets, and I only have like 5 of them, so I don't know where to put them. Below that are my albums. So this is my project Life for 2022. This is my current scrapbooking album. This is my Cuba trip, and then this is an empty album. This is a cubby that just holds things that I don't know what to do with, and also things that I'm going to give away. This is a cubby that holds Cricut media. So this is this is for my brother. So brother Scan and Cut and Cricut's Joy stuff is in here. And then right here, we have this wire basket that holds all of my heavy body and also some fluid acrylic paints. And I really love being able to just dig through these tubes and bottles and just find what I need right there. So these cupboards are also labeled. I printed on the smallest font size that my label maker would print, and I printed on clear tape. You can actually get really, really skinny clear tape that's made for putting on CD cases, but I didn't have any of that. So I just printed and then I just cut it with scissors, and I made it so that the ones on this side were justified over to here and the ones on that side were justified over to here, so that basically it's like my labels are on the insides of my cupboards. Now you can see why I have them with doors on them, because this is not very pretty. These are kits, so mostly not scraptastic, mostly hip kits, but also some Allie Edwards quarterly scrapbooking kits as well. And I think there might even be one of my stash kits in there. I just keep my kits in the bags that they come in, and I just slide them in there. And the Allie Edwards ones, I try to label, but I don't know if I did label all of these or not. Then I also have watercolor right here, but I'm going to move the watercolor down into this cupboard right here. It'll make better sense. So those kits that were over in my scrap drawer, in my scrap cupboard in the other video, they will go right here, and then these watercolor will go someplace else. This is a Stampin' Up! And Artist paper. And so I have some watercolor paper, some Yupo, some tracing paper. This is all Stampin' Up! In here, and then this is also all Stampin' Up! And the way that I store it is I will often use page protectors. So this is, what is this? Specialty, this is Pearlescent Specialty Paper by Stampin' Up! I just have it in this page protector. And then this is gold foil sheets, also by Stampin' Up! This is a collection pack. This is a Christmas collection pack, also by Stampin' Up! And then I have some big collections that I just keep in their original plastic packaging, like that. And then my Stampin' Up! Cardstock, I store like this in either page protectors that I have cut the holes off of, like the part that goes into a binder, I've cut those off, or if I have big amounts of it, I'll put it in a job ticket pouch. So I have some here that I have big amounts of. I used to have a lot of that one, but I don't anymore, apparently. So those are all of my Stampin' Up! Cardstock. Then this one here has old Stampin' Up! Cardstock that are colors that we don't have anymore. And then these are different medias like Bristol smooth cardstock and watercolor paper and whatnot, just various artist papers right there. While I'm over here, I'll do the two bottom ones. So stencils and watercolor and printer vellum and art journal. So again, I'm using a lot of these cardboard organizers because they're just a good way to keep things in a cupboard, and I can just pull the whole thing out. So this is how I'm storing my stencils nowadays. It's easy for me to store them this way when I'm not using them very often, but I think that if I were to ever get more into art journaling again, I tend to go through phases. If I were ever using these a lot, I would probably need a different system. But this is what I have for now. So I have them all in sleeves now, so that's new. They used to be just a tangled mess. I put them, the big ones are all in 12 by 12 page protectors, and the smaller ones are all in smaller page protectors. These ones came with their own page protector, like they came with Ziploc bags. I just cut the Ziploc off of them and just kept them in their original packaging because it's easy enough to slide them in and out. And then this is in one of my own 6 by 12 inch bags. And then these smaller ones are in sandwich bags with the Ziploc cut off of them. There you go. And I backed them all on black paper just so that I could see them better. I have a lot of stencils. So, and then the smaller ones I literally just put here, even though they're not really organized. They're just sitting there. And I'm going to put my watercolor paints right there. I just don't know what vessel I'm going to put them in yet. So then over here, so obviously that's not the greatest way to store those. I really like having these in a tray or a basket that's out in my room so that I can search through it. But just right now, I'm not using them that much, so I'm just sticking them in this drawer for now. I have stored them other ways that make better sense, but for now it's fine for them to just be sitting in there. So in here I have printer paper, vellum, and art journal supplies. So this is just a folder of random things that I like. So this is like art journal paper that someone else art journaled. So like these beautiful Irrit Landgraf watercolor papers. And also I have a stack of this watercolor paper, like this is art paper. It's really beautiful from Jane Davenport. So I have that on hand. And then in this folder, I have a color wheel, but I also have, these are my own experimentation pages where I tested different media across different other media and saw how they all interacted with one another. So I have those there just as a reference. And then I have a box here that's filled with vellum and acetate. And then I have just printer paper here for my printer, and like for the big printer that's down in the basement. This should probably be down in the basement now. And then I have, this is photo paper that I can cut up. I bought it in the 8.5 by 11 size, but my printer only goes up to 5 by 7, so I can cut it down to 5 by 7. Okay, so let's open these. These are more organized. So as you can see from the labels down here, this one is cardstock and this one is patterned paper. So this is my main cardstock supply. I have these stored in these cropper hoppers. I love these cropper hoppers, but you know what? They're very expensive, so I haven't bought many of them. I bought one set of them when I was a new scrapbooker, and I haven't bought them since. But in this cropper hopper, I keep all cardstock. It's actually patterned paper, but it's like tone on tone pattern paper, so it reads as a solid. There's also black and white in here, but see, all of them are, and some of them are Echo Park, and some of them are Studio Calico, and some of them are Doodlebug. There are a whole bunch of different brands. Then I have some cardstock that's just loose, and this is just cardstock that I got from different kit clubs that I've belonged to over the years. So, and they're just sorted by rainbow order. Most of them are American Crafts, some of them are Basil. Then after that, it goes in rainbow order. After that, so this is kind of like my good. I put it in, it's in an American Crafts folder, but it's mostly Basil, but this is my good white cardstock and my good black cardstock, and then my not good black and white cardstock are right here. So this is my I buy this on Amazon. It's by Color Bock, and it's very inexpensive black paper. It's not even solid black, like it's white core. And then I buy the same sheets in white, and those are what I use for storage and just general, not for scrapbooking, but just for around the house and around my room. This is better quality black cardstock than that. And then this cropper hopper here, this cropper hopper has all of my Lawn Fawn cardstock. So a lot of that 6x6 pattern paper that you see up there is Lawn Fawn, and it coordinates really nicely with their cardstock. So I bought a couple of color combo packs from them, and that's how I have all of this cardstock. So I didn't buy like chili pepper by itself. I bought a couple of different rainbow packs, and then I split them up by color so that I can find the colors that I want when I want them. And then there were a few that I bought a whole pack of if I really like the paper. So like Mermaid and Cilantro, for example, I bought whole packs of those. Then in these job ticket packs, I have my bigger amounts of cardstock here. So I have my Nina Solar White. This is just like premium printer paper here. And so Nina Solar White 110 pound, Copic Express, Bristol Smooth, and just like a, cardstock that I have a lot of. Let's just say that. So I haven't changed the way that I store my paper, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but this is where I keep my scrapbooking paper. It is sorted by collection, and I keep them in these little pockets, these pouches. And what they do, because they're sealed on the end, when I pull it out, everything comes together. And I can keep scraps in here, and if I have any flat embellishments, I might keep it in here, but typically it's just paper. See, I've got some scraps in here. Every once in a while, there'll also be a sticker set or if a very thin set of die cuts or something. So this is Saturday by Dear Lizzie, for example. All of these collections are very, very old because I haven't bought scrapbooking collections in many, many years. So these are all collections. And then from here over is loose paper that is sorted by color. So this would be my pinks, and I store it the same way in those folders. These would be all of my pinks of all different brands that don't fit in any of these collection packs right here. And then I also have a Vicky Bouton paper pad. I did make a folder for it because it's a paper pad. And then some extra like specialty paper like corrugated paper and glitter paper and foil paper and whatnot. So this cupboard right here is Well, the label says printer and cleaning supplies. So this is where I keep my small printers, my label maker, and also I have an Instax printer, and I have a zinc printer too. So those are all there. They're sort of novelty printers, so I don't use them that often, but I like to have them on hand. I have like latex gloves back there and deli paper and Glad press and seal and some sandwich bags and large storage bags for organization. Then in this one, we have sequins, buttons, and swatches. So I keep my sequins in these Darice storage containers. They're expensive, but I really like this strategy of storing them. So as you can see, I labeled them. It says Hollow Heart Sequins. And that way I can grab whatever color sequins I want when I want them. I used to use sequins more than I do now. I might circle back to using them again at some point. I keep my buttons in one of these little storage cases. They're just sorted by color. Some Studio Calico, some Stampin' Up, and then just some random ones as well. And I do have another one of those Darice containers as well that I can't get out very easily. And then in this, it's just a random mishmash of some swatches. These are my old missed swatches. I had to do them over again because I didn't know which ones I had and didn't have. And just like extra buttons and swatches from my sewing machine and swatches from my watercolor. This is a class I took with Arit. And just some random stuff back there. Okay. This is a little cubby that I got from the Wicker Emporium. That's a store in Canada that they don't have it anymore. It went out of business. But in here, I have my diamond painting case and some Stampin' Up stuff. I used to be a demonstrator. Some more Stampin' Up stuff there. In the corner, I have my ring light on a tripod, and also I have my typewriter down there and a few other things. Okay, moving on. There's some decorative things here. So I have a map of Hyrule up on my wall because I love The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. It's my favorite relaxing game. Took the place of Animal Crossing a long, long time ago, and love it. So let's talk about the scrappy stuff first, and then I'll show you some of my decorative things. This is a fake plant. This is my Blue Yeti mic, that used to be the mic that I used for all of my voiceovers, but I got a new mic, and this one is better at certain things, so I held on to it for now. The plan was to sell it, but then I like it for certain things, so I'm not selling it yet. Let's see what's in these drawers. So we've got cards. These are cards that I've made, and storage bags and envelopes and stuff. And then these are more cards that I've made. These ones are sorted by categories and like birthday and whatnot, whereas the other ones are these are the ones I made recently, and then these are the ones that are sorted. Pardon me. Card bases. Here is where I have like pre-cut and folded card bases in a variety of different cardstocks. Some of them are pre-bought, some of them I made, and the envelopes are all in the back. I bought some colored envelopes just because I thought it was a novelty. Like, I've always used white envelopes, and I don't know, I thought it might be nice to have some colors. This one is empty. I like to have some room to grow. This one is also empty. This one has loose letters. So it's all these things. These used to be out in a Razcog and my cat chewed them up, but the products themselves are fine. It's just the plastic is all chewed up by my cats. I like using these letters, but to be honest, I rarely think of them. So I don't know if it's worth even still hanging on to them. This is my storage bags. Yeah, so this is the checkout store. That's who makes the storage bags. These are the big ones for those size stamps that I don't like because they're too big. And then these are the smaller ones. I do pre-cut a bunch of white cardstock and I just slip it in the bag so that when I grab a bag, there's some cardstock there as well. What else do I have in here? I have some bags from old Ali Edwards or Studio, yeah, these are all Ali Edwards. Some of them might be Studio Calico kit bags as well. And then I also have pre-cut. I bought a bunch of magnetic sheets and I just pre-cut them this time instead of leaving them in the sheets, and then every time I buy dies I have to go get the magnet sheets and cut them up. So I just cut them into 4x6 sheets, and that works well for me. So this is just kind of storage stuff. Also, I have my 6x12 inch bags. They're Owl Pack open end polyethylene bags. They're 2 mils and they're 6x12, and you get them in packs of 100. Although I think I got 10 packs, so I've got 1,000 of them. I've got more downstairs. And then these are just like little bags. I use these for my little collectible remnants and stuff so that I don't lose things. Craft paint. I put a little bit of paint on the top if it doesn't come with a dot. Borders. So there was a time when borders were really popular, and I miss those days because I love borders. I keep all my old border stickers in here. There's a couple of new ones here too. And I also, because they're also long and thin, I've got some extra ribbons and stuff here too. And then this is where I keep my felt. And I also keep foam in here as well. So felt and foam, but it's mostly felt, as you can see. I keep most of my foam downstairs because I don't reach for it all that often. While I'm down here, why don't we show these? So this is my sewing drawer. It's just thread and stuff. This is my office drawer. It has like random junk things. This says tabs and doilies, but it's really just doilies. I have a lot of doilies. It's embarrassing. Then I have a couple of open shelves, and on my open shelves I have basically a variety of different trays, and this is strategically placed so that it's below this, so that from over here you don't really see that, because it doesn't look as nice as the closed drawers. And on these, I have a tray that holds mixed media bases. So this is a piece of paper that was already gessoed. And then these are mixed media papers that I just haven't used yet or don't know what to do with. Then in here, we have page protectors, apparently. It says Project Life templates, but it's not. Large stencils. This is not large stencils because I moved them. This is empty now. This is where I keep my Wheel of Wonder. So this is where I keep my Wheel of Wonder. Obviously, there are a few other things in here that don't belong, but generally speaking, I have my 2 Wheel of Wonder wheels, which make up a total of 4 different options. So this is what I do to randomize. I have a Rubbermaid Lazy Susan, and it's in my cupboard. But what I do is I take everything off of it. I used to keep it here, but I didn't use it often enough to justify. I didn't use it often enough to justify keeping it here, but I have this Lazy Susan. This fits perfectly in the bottom of it. And what I do is I spin it. I put this on my table pointing, and then I spin it, and then whatever it lands on is what I do. So I challenge myself by saying, okay, I have to use gold. I might spin it 3 times, and I'll say I have to use gold, I have to use a sketch, and I have to do something about TV. So that is my Wheel of Wonder. It's for randomizing. It's good for if you're in a rut creatively. And I also keep my glass cutting mat right there. So in this tray, this is actually Project Life page protectors. It is what it says it is. And then these are my completed layouts and cards for the quarter. I'm trying to do recap videos quarterly, so I don't scrapbook quite as much, so I think that they should all be able to fit in there. This is a project. This is basically a kit that I started to use. It's a Hip Kit Club kit. I started to use this probably like a year or two ago, and I haven't dekitted it yet, so it's right there. But I like to have space for ongoing projects so that I don't have to necessarily clean up and I don't feel that pressure. This is mark making, so this is mostly art journaling type of stuff. I keep packaging in here for the packaging technique or the smooshing technique, and a bunch of just mixed media texturizing ideas in there, and mark making rubber stamps and whatnot, or foam stamps. This is a card project that I was working on quite some time ago, and pulled all the supplies out and made 1 or 2 cards, but I wanted to make more, so I just left it in there. So again, nice to have these drawers just for projects. This is my Project Life drawer. It's not labeled, but it's where I keep my current Project Life stuff, including my templates and any supplies that are left over from before that I didn't use. I try to purge that every once in a while. So above these 6 Recollections cubes, we have some decorative things. I do collect miniatures, so I'll show you this in a little bit more detail. It's been knocked over, but I really love these really realistic food-based, mostly food-based, a couple of household stuff. This is not one of my favorite sets actually, but I do really love the Jellos. Love, love, love those. So realistic. And I love the little can and the little mold. I love the little sewing basket, but I don't love everything else in this kit. So anyhow, I have this out. I haven't figured out what I'm going to put in this box yet, but that's some stuff. And then this box is more set up with like fancy cakes and bakery things and whatnot. Anyhow, I have these 2 boxes to display. They were super cheap, and I wanted to have a place to display my remint because I've been collecting it for a while, and I have a lot of really beautiful pieces, and it seems silly for them to be sitting in plastic boxes in my basement. So my idea is that I will get it out of my basement and into these boxes, and then every once in a while, if I want to take some photos or switch it up, I can switch up the scene, and I thought that that would be fun. So I have these 2 rooms, and then I have this bigger room that has like the kitchen furniture and stuff, and this it all comes apart so that you can take photos, like you can remove most of the walls and whatnot. So anyhow, I plan to fill this up with dishes and pretty things so that some of my pretty stuff is out on display instead of, and look at the fan and the plants. Aw, I love this. I need to do that soon. Yeah, and then up there is my room cam. And down there, I have some paper, like this is desktop paper. And then this is for when somebody's working here, they can use that as their working mat. So next, I wanted to show you my desk and tabletop and also the wall behind my desk. So let's talk about the wall behind my desk first, since we're talking about decorative stuff. So I do have a doll collection. I used to collect pull-ups quite actively and had quite a few of them and was customizing and selling and trading and doing all sorts of fun things. But these are the ones that I have kept, and they survived the purge, and I really like them. They're really pretty. I don't do much with them other than just kind of keep them up there and dust them every once in a while. I have a Pomodoro timer there that I use for work sometimes. And below that, it's basically kind of a shelf that is supported by long pegs on my pegboard. And below that, I just have some things that are difficult to store other ways. So my circle cutter is notoriously difficult to store, so I just hang it there. I have my Nintendo Pro controller there as well, and some brayers and my Cricut Joy mats and that big brush that's hard to store anywhere else. I've been keeping my twine out here. I don't have a whole lot of twine, so I find that this is a pretty good way to store it. I need to replace that with one that's the same as the others. I keep all of my rolls of tape right there on that big long peg, and I have longer mats there and a cleanup brush and a tea ruler. And I also have another camera, which is mounted on this funny jointed arm. And I really like that jointed arm because I can turn it lots of different ways. And what I've done is I was finding that I was using my brother's scan and cut in videos, and I was just kind of over here beeping and doing lots of pressing of buttons, but you couldn't really see what I was doing. So I installed this webcam here. I just had an extra one because I had upgraded my cameras years ago and I just hung on to the old ones. This is a really good camera, but it is also an old camera. So I didn't want to toss it or sell it. So I just set it up so that it's here. And now if I'm ever doing something over here, either on this work surface or if I've pulled out my cutting machine, I can have a top-down view over here as well. But also it's really easy for me to turn this, and I do need two hands, but it is easy for me to turn this, and then that camera is upright so it can film me if I'm doing something like product selection over here or something like that. So it's nice and flexible because of the arms. You can really point it almost anywhere. I use that one to show product selection over at this shelf right here. So on my desk is my Picturemate PM400, my brother's Scan and Cut, and my Cricut Joy. I also have my laptop out, which is mostly for work. It's actually exclusively for work. I never use it for scrapbooking. And below it and behind it, I have that's a little thing that I use. It's essential for my new mic. I don't even know what it is, but it's something that I need. And then there's my new mic. Then of course we have my iMac and my Martha Stewart grid mat. I have a plant and I have my Boon organizers that I have all of my things in. I do have two stream decks. These I use for live streaming, but also for video editing on the fly. This one here I bought first and then immediately regretted only getting the 6 button, but I have 5 cameras. So this is actually, I use this it's not going to work right now, but I use it for all 5 of my cameras and then the mute button right here. And it's really, really handy to have because it's easy for me to bring it, you know, closer to me when I'm scrapbooking and stuff. So I can change camera angles super, super easily. But when I'm streaming and editing on the fly, I typically use that one. It has more things like little banners and titles, and I can do a lot more with that one because it has more buttons. I do have my Nintendo Switch over there. I keep it set up and I can actually, because I have a capture card, I can actually play it on my computer, which is way, way better than playing it on my TV because this chair is super, super comfortable. It's just from Staples and it's not like a super fancy expensive chair, but it has just the right amount of support for my lower back that this is really the best place if I'm having kidney pain or any other kind of like lower back pain. This is the perfect chair to sit in. I love this chair. So it's nice that I can game here if I so desire. I don't game a whole lot. I go through phases where I'll game a lot and then I'll stop for a while. Then we have my Making Memories Embellishment Center. The bottom shelf is reserved for my keyboard and trackpad. And I do have another keyboard as well that I like for actually typing for longer amounts of time on. But anyhow, I keep one of my keyboards there and the trackpad, and then the other keyboard is in my drawer. Then I keep my Nuvo drops and stickles right here just because they're pretty mostly. I don't use these supplies all that often, but I do spend a lot of time sitting here at my desk doing work. And I just find it kind of brightens my day to be able to look up and see this rainbow of sparkly color. And in the morning, it looks especially nice. So that's that. Now, if I zoom out, you can see my video set up here. So I have this box mounted to the ceiling of my room, and from it hang my 2 lights. They're Canadian studio lights. I've had them for many, many years. They're really great. Yeah, you can see my whole setup there. Then I have basically this deck stick that it's from the spindle of a deck. And I have that there, and then I just use duct tape, not duct tape, I use packing tape to hold my tripod in place that holds my camera, which is a Canon M50, which is a EOS M50, which is a mirrorless DSLR or whatever you call it. This is a clamp that just holds the tape to keep it from slip. It's just extra reinforcement. I don't want my camera to drop. And obviously there's a lot of wires that are ugly, but I tried to just kind of route them the best way that I could. The most problematic wire is that one because there's no real place for it to go. It's not long enough to go around the arm properly. But I try to keep all of my wires. One of the things that I did recently was I got rid of all of the wires that were running around the back of there, and they're all underneath now. And it doesn't look very pretty from down here, but nobody ever looks down here, so it doesn't matter. I do keep a hook with an iPhone charging cord right here. It also connects my iPhone to my computer, so if I'm doing screen share for a video, I can do that. I also have like the HDMI cord for my switch. I have to like switch something in order to use my switch on my computer, but it's just I unplug one thing and replug another, and that's it. I think that's it. So now I'll just show you the drawers. Oh, up there, I just stuck a shelf up there, and it has some extra supplies. Like I have a Mint, which is a stamp making machine. I don't use it very often, but when I do need it, I'm really glad I have it. So I like that. I used it fairly recently for one of my daughter's school projects, and it was a lifesaver. Then I have 4 trimmers up there that I don't use all that often, but I need to hang on to those sorts of things because I will often do comparison videos. I like to have the old things so I can show how something has changed over time or what it looks like. I also have some collectible strawberry shortcake dolls from the 80s down there. My friend Stephanie gave me those. Okay, so let's take a look at these drawers. So like my cupboards, I wanted unobtrusive labels. So I just put my labels right here in clear so that they blend in and it's not obnoxiously grabbing your attention. So because this is the Alex unit that is the furthest away from me, this is the stuff that I use the least. So this one has my washi and printer supplies. So this is my black washi, gray washi, beige washi, and also multicolored washi. And then this is a bit of a little random junk drawer with stuff and a print pack. And then this is the paper for my printer. And then there's a print pack back there that's my old Epson Picturemate charm, which I hung on to because I have so many print packs for it in the basement that I just want to, when I'm batch printing, I'll send a bunch of 4x6 just to that. And then I'll print all of my individual ones that I'm changing the sizes of, I'll print to that. And that way I'm printing twice as fast and I'm using up all of the paper and ink that I bought before. It feels like I'm printing for free, but I just paid for it a long time ago. So this one has washi and Post-it notes. So this one has my colorful washi, and it also has some mailing supplies, like when I send stuff out to people. And these are like scrappy business cards, and then these are full page Post-it notes, so it's sticky the whole size. And some extra washi, ribbon and twine. This is in one of those Antonius. This is from IKEA. I think it's called Antonius, and it just has all of my ribbon and twine that I don't really use all that often, but nice to have. Then this is my marker supply. This used to hold my gel pens, but I put them someplace different. You'll see them in a few minutes. These are random pens. These are my real, what is this? Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. And then this is the sheet that tells you what colors those are. And then way back there, I have an extra pencil case and some fabric markers. Extra supplies. So these are my extra Stampin' Dimensional adhesive, which is my favorite adhesive for dimension. These are extra ATG refills. This is my less favorite dimensional adhesive. Let me go this way. These are my not so favorite dimensional adhesive, but I got them in various places with kits and whatnot, so I'm not gonna turn down dimensional adhesive. Oh, this is a two-way glue pen. This is score tape. We've got some extra unopened markers down here. We have extra Zig Mono Multi. I have some of this for some project I was doing at some point. I usually have this all filled up with a whole bunch of refills for this, but I'm running out. I like to keep about 6 or 7 of them all right here. This is usually overflowing with these. I have to go down in the basement and replenish my stash. I buy refills for this Tombow tape runner. I buy them, well, whenever I run out, I buy them. It's only like every couple of years that I have to buy them. I think I get 50 of them at once for a fairly low price. I get it on Penwa, I think is the website that I go to. There's also Tape Depot, but I think Penwa is cheaper for Canada. Then I have some glue dots and some typewriter ribbon and some of that yellow tape. What is this? Oh, more glue dots. Yeah, so that's that. For cord management, I have a UPC here, which is an uninterrupted power supply, or UPS, whatever it's called. And it just kind of is a hub that you plug a bunch of stuff into. And it also, if your power goes out, it gives you a chance to come and turn off your computer before it doesn't just randomly shut down on you. And I have like my hard drive, that's Michael, my hard drive, the big one right there, and then Walt is the little one behind it. Those are what I keep my video footage on. I actually don't keep my videos, like once it's posted to YouTube, I delete my footage, but I do have like some amount that is, I'm not always consistent at taking it off of my hard drive. So to keep me from having to always be obsessively checking and deleting stuff, I have 2 fairly large hard drives, not for keeping, but just for giving me a buffer. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I want to have like a buffer of memory that I don't have to delete every single time I make a new video. I mean, I've had footage on there for years now that I haven't had to delete, so it's a lot. Okay, so let's have a look at this drawer, because this Alex unit is on my left-hand side as I'm scrapbooking. So this one says Essentials, and basically these are the inks that I reach for the most, and these are those little tiny stamps that you see me using. So I have VersaFine and I have Stays On here, and I have these Brilliance ones as well, and I have Memento and Archival. Back there I have some white, and also that's where I keep my grays, which are, I have 2 Lawn Fawn gray inks back there. And then these are just like my score tape that I have on the go. It's almost gone, I have to get more. And some roller date stamps and post-it notes, and just some, these are the stamps that I put on the backs of my cards when I make them. Oh, and these are in these little trays. You'll recognize it when I show it to you. It's from IKEA. So right there. This one is all wood veneer. Look at that, a whole drawer filled with wood veneer. This is very satisfying. And these are little, I think I'm going to have to make a video just about these, because these are little containers that have little snap-on lids. I took the lids off of them, but they stack on top of one another. So you could have a whole bunch and just have one lid on the top, and they all kind of cling to one another to hold them shut. I used to have them arranged in 2 big towers, but then I decided to put them like this when I got this Alex unit, and I really love having them like this. Back there, there's just some extra wood veneer on sheets and stuff. Then we have technology. So this is my clackety clack keyboard. Very satisfying. I love that keyboard. And I just have like remote controls, extra wires, just like this is my switch case that I'm not using anymore, some tripods. cables, just a bunch of stuff, batteries for my lights, batteries for my camera, measuring tape in there. This is a weird light thing, lots of cables and clamps and stuff. And when I'm using this keyboard, then that little magic keyboard is in here. So this drawer is called Tools, and this is just what I reach for when I'm I don't know why this is there. That doesn't belong there. This is what I reach for the most, and I can reach this really easily with my left hand. I don't have to leave my chair or even spin my chair. So I have my mini MISTI tool. I have my small die cutter, which is a Cuddle Kid. I keep some thread and other things in here as well. My X-Acto knife is in here. My scissors that I don't care about, like my not nice scissors that I use for opening boxes and stuff. I keep my ATG in here now because I use it so infrequently because I'm doing mostly pocket pages these days. But I have a couple of other stamp positioners, like I have a Stampin' Up one, and I also have a full, like a regular MISTI as well. I have the Tim Holtz stamp positioners too downstairs. I've got like a lot of stamp positioners for some reason. Then this is my cleanup drawer. And one of my favorite things to do with my cleanup drawer is when I'm doing messy things is I just leave it like that and then I can pull and take a piece. Usually it comes off and stays like that so I can keep on taking more and more. I keep my Kleenex in here, a bunch of rags, baby wipes, wax paper. These are little storage things that hang on the edge of a Razcog. And if I am doing a lot of stamping, I will hang one of these over there. I just don't keep it there all the time because I don't like the look of it. In the very back of this drawer, so I have two of those. In the very back of this drawer, I have my Dymo label maker just randomly there for whatever reason. I don't want to waste those pieces of paper towel, so I'll just leave those there like that. Now, speaking of cord management, I've been using this. This is another one of those Recollections or Jetmax branded office, like scrap room storage things. It's supposed to be like a mail tray that sits horizontally on your desk, and then you can put like pens and stuff or stuff standing up in that and then slide your letters and stuff in there. But I've been using it like this for cord management for years. And it also gives me a little place to put my feet when I'm sitting. It's actually very comfortable because I need to straighten my knees because I'm old and I have bad knees. But yeah, so I use that for cord management. It works pretty well. And now let's talk about these drawers. So this is my last Alex unit, and it has, this top drawer has embellishments. So I have these little trays, which I can't find anymore at IKEA. I need to replace, some of these were my daughter's and I borrowed them and said that I'd buy her new ones the next time we went to IKEA. And then every time we go, they don't have them. So I think I'm going to have to give her back some of these, but I love how 6 of them fill one of these Alex drawers just so perfectly. And as you guys have seen on some of my videos, I just kind of like reach in and grab it and bring it to my desk, select, and then I just dump it back in here when I'm done. There is space back there for extra things, and I do keep some things back there, just extra things that I forget about. Then I have more embellishments in here. This is more of like a random mishmash of embellishments. I do have one of these trays that I took the lid off of so it would sit in here. And then just a bunch of embellishments that are not really sorted. I keep my embossing in this drawer. So I have embossing powder, black embossing powder. I have UD and black UD. And I also have something sparkly. I don't know what. Black, oh, right, white, black, and clear is what's in here. I do have a few different colored embossing powders, but not too many. And it's all right here. Versamark refill and my Versamark and my powder tools and powder catching tools and whatnot. My ink pads. I've been keeping my ink pads in this nail polish tray that I showed in the other part of my room. I have several of them. And I like how it stores these Distress Oxides. It's not good with one of them. I find that like the lid comes off when there's one. So if there's one, I just put it that way. Yeah, so that's how I keep my Distress Oxides, and I just keep the little swatches right here with them. And then this is my Distress Inks, and I keep the swatches right here, and the swatches kind of keep the lids on them as well. I do have more inks back there. I have Ali Edwards inks and some Amazon blending brushes that I don't really use. A bunch of random Mama Elephant pigment inks back there too, and some StazOn that I don't use very often. So basically just inks that are not Stampin' Up are all in here. Really just the Distress Oxides are mostly all that I use, but this is my miscellaneous drawer. And this is where I keep my little scraps of mostly white paper here, so that if I need a little journaling strip or something, I've got it. I also keep my die cut sets that are still in their sets. So this would be like Amy Tan on a Win. This would be whatever that one is. There's usually a little thing in with it to show you the brand, and also like this looks like it's Maggie Holmes. So I have all of those right there. I put my tags in here in the hopes that I will use them more often. I also have some rounded corner Becky Higgins Project Life cards here that I destashed hundreds and hundreds of these, but I kept a few. I kept these two sets right here that I haven't even opened yet, this set that I haven't opened yet, and some other cards that the ones that I really liked, I held on to for whatever reason. I keep a couple of 6x6 paper pads here just on hand, so I don't have to get out of my chair to find a piece of pattern paper. So those are right there. So that is my miscellaneous drawer. This is what is in my Boone organizing cups, we'll call it maybe. So the one that I reach for the most is my small scissors and my glue runner, my tape runner. I also have a temporary tape runner in the same one. I keep my tweezers there. And for I keep needles and a poker right here. And to keep them upright, I just have a piece of foam in there so that I can, usually I don't put that in there so strongly, so that I can just kind of grab it and the foam stays behind. My eraser and my glue remover thingy, scissors. I keep my heat gun plugged in, ready to go. Paintbrushes and tools and glues and pencil sharpener, extra glues. One is empty. And that's that. So the last thing is my last wall. And on this wall, I have 4 shelves that are installed with these brackets. So you get these braces and you put them on your wall. I have 3 of them. And then you get these L-shaped brackets and they fit in there and hold the wood. I have 2 different widths of shelves. So I have a narrow one here. I'll tell you how big it is. This one is 10 inches and this one is 12 inches. I put the 10-inch one down here because when I'm sitting here, I didn't want to be crowded. I just felt like that would be kind of like encroaching on my shoulder space, and I didn't want that like that. So I kind of like how they go. Like the profile of them is kind of like low and then bigger up here. So when I'm sitting, it doesn't matter if there's stuff there. So what are on these shelves? So first I have, this is from Michaels. It's a little set of drawers. Most of them are empty. Some of them are empty, but I do have, this is the way that I was keeping track of my YouTube videos in these like categories of, these would be videos that I'm editing. These would be videos that I'm publishing. These would be videos that are awaiting to go public. So these have been like my Patreon members get early access without ads. And so these are just being viewed by Patreons for now and waiting to go public. And then these are my empty sheets that I haven't used yet. So that was the way that I kept track of my videos. But now I do everything digitally. I'm trying to get rid of paper, and I don't use a planner. I don't use anything paper anymore, and it's been about a month of me doing that, and I really love it so far, but we'll have to see over time if it works out. This is anything related to water, so like water pens and water brushes and water spritzers. This is foam adhesive, and these are paper clips. And I like that these drawers come right out, so I can just bring this over to my desk when I'm using foam adhesive and then just slide it back when I'm done. I keep my small trimmer right there, and this is a smart coffee cup, so it keeps my coffee at the perfect temperature. Then I have this, which is supposed to be a telescoping thing that holds your phone and also lights. It also provides lights. I don't need the light because I've got so much light here that whether I have that on or off, it makes no difference. But what I noticed about it, I was going to return it, and then I noticed it's actually like a really, really solid, heavy base. And I needed something like this. I needed something really solid and heavy that I could mount my desk cam to so that I can move it around, but it's not going to topple over and fall around. So I really like it. I'm just using it as a base for my webcam. Then I have another one of these half depth Recollections cubes. And in this one, I have all of my different markers. So these are all my white what is this doing there? These are all of my white markers for the most part, and a few also paint pens and specialty markers and stuff. This is my blocks, my acrylic blocks. These are my Archer and Olive, what is that called again? Archer and Olive acrylograph. These are paint pens basically. And I didn't know where to put these, so I just put these Wink of Stella ones here too. I never use those. I don't know what I'm gonna do with them because I never use them, but they're there. Then I have my small collection of Faber-Castell Pitt pens. I love these pens. They're my favorites, especially for mixed media stuff, but yep, so I have those. And I have, these are anything like colorful markers, brush markers and whatnot. So these are Jane Davenport and these are Stampin' Up. These are Slick Surface Writer permanent markers, so Sharpies, and also Stettler Lumo Color pens as well. These are basic journaling pens, so these are not for slick surfaces. What else do we have here? These are watercolor pencils, and then these are mild liners. These are all of my gel pens, and this is my pen swatch book. It has swatches from some other things too, but I mostly just use it for pens. So, and yeah, so it shows what the pens look like on dark as well as on light paper. Above this sits my trimmer, my Stampin' Up trimmer. I love this because it's so lightweight and thin, and I can store it right there and grab it and move it around really easily. I keep my ruler right here. I use it mostly for tearing more than I use it for measuring. I keep my hot off the press journaling template right here, and I keep this here too. It's also hot off the press. It's a stitch template. I never use it, but it's the same size, so I keep them together. I have a swatch of all of my white markers and pens, so I know what looks like what. And I also have swatches for my alcohol markers, which are Stampin' Up alcohol markers. I do have other alcohol markers, but I'm getting rid of them. I'm going to sell them because I don't use them. I've settled on the Stampin' Up alcohol markers as my favorite. This is a pop-in organizer, and I keep half pieces of cardstock here in just an assortment of colors with lots of white and black, but also a little assortment of colors as well. These are easy for grabbing because it'll fit through my Big Shot, and also it's just kind of like an easier size to work with. I have a kit here that hasn't found a home and some Cricut Joy pens, also the pen for my drawing tablet. So I have a drawing tablet there too. And I have a ginormous jelly printing plate and a regular size jelly printing plate. And above there is my Stampin' Up storage system. So I don't have the tops for them. The next time I place an order, I'm going to get a top like that. I'm going to get 3 more of them for these. And yeah, so I keep my Stampin' Up ink. It's my favorite dye ink. I I really love the colors and I'm familiar with the colors, so it's really easy for me to find the color that I need when it comes to Stampin' Up because I'm familiar with them. These are Stampin' Blend alcohol markers. I really love that they don't have a bazillion colors. They just have, I don't have all of them, but they, even if I had all of them, it wouldn't be too many to choose from, which is good. And they come in sets of 2, so it's easy to blend. You just pick the 2 that are the same color and you get like a dark and a light, and that's good. Nice and simple, as opposed to Copic markers, which are very complicated. So I've been keeping my latest Project Life kit in this. This is a washi tape holder that I don't use for washi tape. So I have like the March and the April kits here, and I also have a whole lot of photos. I don't normally have that many photos, but I printed up way too many for my Cuba trip. So some of those will go into my general Project Life, or they might become 12 by 12 pages. But generally speaking, I'm going to be keeping my pocket page kits in here. I only subscribe to pocket page kits right now. So I subscribe to Paper Person and also Ali Edwards Stories by the Month kit, and also Ali Edwards Story kit without the stamp. And I just subscribed to Studio Calico because I just can't get enough pocket kits apparently. So I have that there. This is my bullet journal, which I don't use anymore because I'm fully digital. This is random mixed media supplies that don't fit anywhere else and supplies that I really like, and so I want to use them. This is an ink pad that I only have one of that came in a kit. I like the color, but I don't have more of that ink. This is a planner that I also don't use because I'm digital now. We have 2 half-size, not typewriters, sewing machines. This is called the New Home, and this is called the Genome Sew Mini. They're both by Genome or Genome or however you pronounce that word. This is just the, what is this? This might be one of their legs. I'm gonna just hang on to that in case it's missing a leg. This is the new, they're exactly the same, but this one is the newer one. Up there, we have a little stubby shelf that's just for sliding things in. I keep all of my oversized things here, like a couple of work mats and cutting mats, a trimmer, that's a rotary trimmer, and some pads of paper, and also a large MISTI tool. I keep my Valet trays right here. They store flat. I like that about them. And these are re-inkers, and that is my hot glue gun. That's my hot glue gun. There's some embroidery supplies up there, and these are tissue paper and palettes and just oversized artsy stuff that kind of like garbage, but pretty garbage that I might want to put on a page. These are page protectors, pocketed page protectors. And then we've got some storage up here. We've got 12 by 12 page protectors, pocket page protectors, Book of Me / One Little Word, the I Am collection, Here Comes the Sun, and Potpourri. I'll go in there so you can see that a little bit better. Which leaves us with the Razcogs. So I recently showed my Project Life storage in quite a bit of detail, so I'm not going to show it in too much detail here. I will, before I go into that, I'll mention I do have a rod here that I installed. It's like a curtain rod or a bath, I think it's like a bath towel rod. Anyhow, I bought these. It's from IKEA, and I got these from IKEA as well, so I can hang different things off of it. I also keep my rulers and my tea ruler right here, and I keep water here because I will use water for mixed media and different things, and for cleaning. I also have to spray my cats sometimes if they're getting into mischief. So we're almost done. We have a Razcog here. This one has all of my Project Life stuff in the top. So these are my cards that are sorted by color, and these are sorted by theme, and they're seasonal-ish monthly themes. So I wanted to sort monthly, but I didn't really have enough to separate by month. So I separated by 2 months for now. So we've got January, February, March, April, and blah, blah, blah. So each of these, and I do show this in more detail, so I'm not going to go into too much detail right now because I have a separate video all about this, but I have these little snack bags that I cut the Ziploc off of, and they allow me to hold little bits of supplies. So these are March, April kits, not just from this year, but from other years. So I've got the chipboard in there, and also any cards that are specific to March and April from any kit anytime. They're all in there. So where might that go? It goes right here, January, February, March, and then April. Yeah, so that allows me to store not only the cards, but because I use the little plastic envelopes, it allows me to stick in any Project Life specific embellishments that I might want to keep with that stuff as well. Then I have a category of cat related cards that are just under the snap category. And then we start with the color sorting of the cards. So these are my 4x6, and then I also have my 3x4 sorted in the same way. I used to sort them by specialty and seasons, but I don't do that anymore. I do have a separate category that's just Ali Edwards, but I think I'm just going to sort them into the rest of the cards. Then in this one right here, not cards, but just other 4x6 sized embellishments and stuff. So we do have some cards in here, actually. First, I have my Pip Sticks collection. So I did subscribe to the Pip Sticks Kit Club, so I get these stickers every month. I think they're really funky and fun and really unique, and they're kind of forcing me to go a little bit outside of my comfort zone, which I like. I like that. So Pip Sticks are in the back, and then we've got specialty cards. So this could be like chipboard cards or acetate cards or vellum or whatever. Also these tabbed cards I'm considering specialty. Then we've got embellishments. So this is, for the most part, these are chipboard pieces. So let me bring these over here and show you. We've got all this chipboard. I keep my chipboard in the sheets, which is problematic now that she gets her chipboard made differently. But anyhow, I do keep it in its sheets, and I just this allows me to just grab all my chipboard, bring it over here, sort through it, pick out what I want, and put the rest of it back. So likewise, I have a little category here for the word stickers that come in those kits. I have a little category here for label stickers that come in the kits, but also I have my own little bunch of labels here. And then I also have a little category that's all letter stickers that come in those kits as well. So anything that's 4x6 sized and appropriate for using with Project Life goes in here. I do have a little bit of room to grow. I have one little space here that doesn't have anything in it. Now back here, I have just slipped a couple of things that I just want to have handy for Project Life. This Ellie Studio stamp set, and I also have the dies that go with it, is something that I want to use more. So I put it back here in the hopes that I will use it more. And then these label stamps and dies, I have to start using these because I often spend a lot of time going through my labels and I can't find what I need. I should be able to just stamp what I need. I also keep this die here. It's a Stampin' Up die that just cuts a bunch of random shaped tags and things that you can do journaling on. So I keep that there. The next tier of this Razzcog has all of my stickers that I also have a video that shows how I set this up. So I do have these categories. This one is journaling. These ones are images, and then these ones are words back here. And I just keep the smaller ones up in the front here. This is a case of black and white embellishments from Freckled Fawn that I just like to keep on hand. I keep this here. It's just some stuff I need to have on hand, mostly for work, like chapstick and dry mouth and hand nail and lipstick and stuff. Then I have another one of these Martha Stewart desk organizers, and in it I keep these label stickers, fit perfectly here. These are more word stickers right here, and what I've done is I've kind of like put things together in batches in bags. So these are all of my puffy stickers in this bag. So if I want puffy stickers, I can just grab that bag and bring it to my desk and put it back pretty easily. Down here, all of these cases here are my die cuts that have been sorted by color and my chipboard that have been sorted by color. So all of these ones that don't have an outline are die cuts. So these are all of my red die cuts, all of my orange die cuts, and so on and so on. These are all of my pink chipboard. I've got 2 sets of pink chipboard because I've got so much of it. As you can see, it's all labeled like that. After that, I also keep some shapes. So anything that's a circle, that's a heart that is not a sticker, is in this box. I have arrows, flowers, stars, butterflies, and labels as well back there. So those are just shapes that are handy to have separate from the other things. Let's look at my second Razcog over here. So this one, the top, I just cleaned it out last night, so it's got some room to grow. I put all of my alphabet stamps are right here. I've got my little ones. I put them all on little cards, and I'm just storing them loose for now. If it becomes a problem, like these, for example, it is a problem because I know that these fall off. They're tiny, and like the little period and comma, for example, are really easy to get lost. So I just put them in a little Ziploc bag. I actually kept the Ziploc on it and cut off the edge of it so that it could be facing the right way. So it could store the same as those. And I have my alphabet stamps right here. A whole bunch of them. And then I also have this alphabet set that I really like, so that. Now in this little tray right here, I keep my grid cards, 4x6 grid cards, 3x4 grid cards, and also large tags that are like they're bigger than 3x4, but they're large tags that could be cut down to fit in a 3x4 inch pocket. I keep my bigger kit paper here, the tall skinny kind and the big kind. I don't like that size of paper, so I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but anyhow, I think I'm gonna unsubscribe to that kit because I don't like getting that size of paper. Then I have, so by the way, these trays, they collapse, and I got the whole set of 3 of them at Chapters and Indigo. They also stack, but you can't have things that are taller in order to stack them, obviously. So then I have this tray that was actually in my house as a decorative tray, but I wasn't using it. I came in and discovered that it is exactly 12 inches wide, which means I can fit two kind of rows of 4x6 cards. So these are my Ali Edwards Stories kits, which I showed in another video that I store in the same way as those other kits, meaning I have little pockets with Ziploc baggies that the Ziplocs are cut off of. So I like that I can reach into my supplies by theme if I ever need to. I think I'm going to be more likely to use these supplies if I just reach into it every once in a while, as opposed to sitting down and trying to do a whole bunch of stories all at once about We or about Connect or something. Now down here, I have, and I had to switch out this Razcog, so I used to have just 2 tiers in this, but I traded with another one in my house because I wanted a third place to store some stuff, which is this. Down here, I have my scrapbooking stamps, and they're ordered by category. My categories are everyday home, technology and TV and games, travel, summer, foodie, holiday, office, storage, office, school and documenting, miscellaneous words, and dates and times. On the other side here, I have my pouches that hold hearts, stars, and arrows. So these were 12 by 12 pouches, and I just cut them down to a little bit more than 6 so that it could store those. And my sassafras letter stickers that I often use for Project Life. And I have a couple of sheets of these Freckled Fawn letter stickers as well that I didn't know where to put, so I just put them there. And that's it. I am done. I think I'm done. If I missed anything, let me know. And take care and have a really great scrappy week.